Existentialism is a philosophy that places the human being and their personal experience at the center of everything. It argues that the most important question is not what is existence, but rather how should I live my existence. It rejects the idea that human beings possess a predetermined nature, destiny, or meaning before they are born. Instead, it maintains that every person begins life without a fixed essence and gradually forms who they are through their own choices and actions. In other words, a person is not born with a final identity that defines them forever. Rather, they spend their entire life constructing themselves step by step, with every decision reshaping their character and identity. For this reason, existentialism views the human being as an ongoing project rather than a fixed object, and it sees one's true value in freedom and the ability to choose. Because it is choice that creates both personal identity and the meaning of life. Freedom is not merely a right or a privilege, it is an essential structure of human existence itself, and no one can escape it. Even refusing to choose or surrendering to circumstances is, in itself, still a choice. From this freedom arises responsibility, because every action and decision belongs entirely to the individual, who cannot ultimately shift the blame onto fate, society, circumstances, or any external force. Existentialism also argues that human beings live in a world that offers no predetermined meaning or objective purpose, and therefore, each individual must create the meaning of their own life through work, love, creativity, or whatever values they freely choose. This is why existential anxiety emerges. It is not ordinary fear, but a profound awareness that one is completely free and solely responsible for oneself and one's future, without absolute guarantees or final answers to eliminate uncertainty. Although this anxiety is painful, existentialists regard it as evidence that a person has become conscious of their freedom and that it marks the beginning of genuine maturity. Death also occupies a central place in existential thought because it is the only certainty shared by every human being. The awareness of mortality gives time its value and encourages people to live authentically rather than wasting their lives in illusion or imitation. Existentialism further rejects reducing human beings to numbers, machines, or abstract models, insisting instead that every individual is unique, shaped by their own circumstances and experiences, and therefore cannot be fully understood through universal laws alone. Although it emphasizes the individual, existentialism does not advocate selfishness, because every choice a person makes expresses the image of humanity they believe ought to exist, meaning that personal actions inevitably influence society and those around them. Ultimately, existentialism is neither a philosophy of pessimism nor a call to despair. Rather, it is an invitation to confront life as it truly is, with all its uncertainty and difficulty, to embrace complete freedom, accept full responsibility for oneself, and create one's own meaning instead of waiting for it to be handed down by someone else. An existential crisis is the stage in which a person begins to question everything that once provided them with security or meaning. They suddenly feel that life has no clear answers and begin asking themselves questions such as, who am I? Why do I exist? And what is the purpose of my life? This experience often follows major events such as death, failure, illness, or the loss of someone close, though it can also arise without any obvious external cause, simply when a person realizes that no predetermined meaning has been assigned to their existence. In that moment, they experience profound loneliness and anxiety because they discover that no one else can choose in their place or live their life for them, and that they alone are responsible for every decision they make. This is the source of existential anxiety. It arises from freedom itself rather than from fear. From here emerges Jean-Paul Sartre's famous principle that existence precedes essence. This means that human beings first exist in the world, and only afterward create their own essence through their actions and choices. There is no fixed human nature or predetermined destiny that defines what a person must become. Instead, every decision and every action adds another piece to one's identity. Therefore, an existential crisis is not merely a state of sadness or depression. It is a confrontation with the reality of freedom and responsibility. If a person succeeds in facing it consciously, the crisis can transform from a painful experience into the beginning of a more authentic and meaningful life, because they begin living according to their own genuine choices rather than according to the expectations of others or predetermined social molds.